While you're waiting for the glue to cure, I'll just mention that there was a part 1 and a part 2 that got us to this point. With the glue cured, we're almost ready to take the piece to the bandsaw, but we've lost our orientation. So the smaller of the two openings lies at the top, and it's at the uphill end of the base. So with that bit of information, we can draw our diagonal back in 2 inches down from the top, running down to 2 inches up from the bottom. Now you can take that to the bandsaw and cut along the diagonal.
So here I'm marking and installing the T-nuts. There's a good use for a slotted screwdriver.
So for the link and for the buried end of the crank arm, the distance separating the 1/4 inch holes is 3 inches, and the rounded ends need to have a 3/4 inch radius.
Okay, once you've cut apart the upper and lower section on the bandsaw, the assembly should be pretty easy to see. What you'll want to do is feed the link into the space that's now opened up by the cut, and thread in the 2 pivot bolts. You'll want to do the same thing for the crank arm, feeding it in from the top. Pivot bolt down here and a pivot / mounting bolt up here. Again, you thread it through, play around with it a little bit, and things should fall into place. Of course, you will have wanted to fuss with the final fitting a little bit, meaning you've hauled out your plane, your rasp, your sandpaper. You've thinned out the walls of the crank arm for the portion that dips inside the base, and the link as well. You've thinned it out a little bit so that you've got a nice free movement. And so you'll spend about 20 minutes just fussing with this thing and getting it all together. Now the mounting hardware is 1/4 20 throughout. So that's 1/4 of an inch in diameter, these machine bolts, and they're 20 threads to the inch, so a fairly standard size. The ones that are used as pivots only are 2 1/4 inches in length. You might find that 2 1/2 inches fits better for you. The ones that are used to mount, and of course this one's also used as a pivot, but the ones that are used to mount the base onto the bandsaw, these are 3 inches in length. The ones that are pivots, they get a flat washer on the outside. On the other side, they feed into the T-nuts. So that's all that's needed for them. The mounting bolts get flat washers inside and outside. They also get a split washer and of course a nut. A couple of things to say about the wheels. I tend to use wheels that are underrated for the weight of the machine. It's because they're a little bit smaller, but also they don't see much action. The machine goes up on the wheels just for when I want to move it, so I don't know what the statistic would be. 99% of the time the wheels are off the ground. When you mount the wheels, you're going to want to mount them as far outboard as you can. If you're using casters, You don't want the casters to roll around and rub against a machine wall or its proper base, what have you. So that's one thing to watch out for. Mount them as far to the outside as you can. If you have trouble moving your machine, if it feels a little stiff, you might want to go to larger wheels. What do you say we mount these two? The bandsaw has adjustable feet, so I'm going to start by threading them as far up into the machine as possible. In other words, I want to set the bandsaw as low as it'll go. Okay, and I'll do that all the way around all 4 feet. I removed the bolts for mounting because I'll be running the punch through those holes. And I set the base on this material here. This is about 1/4 of an inch thick. It's actually less than 1/4 of an inch, but more than 3/16 of an inch thick. So this sets the base up a little bit, and if I mount it in this position, the wheels should be dangling. I've also offset it a little bit this way because when I crank the thing up, the wheels will move in that direction. And at this point you have a choice. You can decide whether you want to hoist by pulling on the lever or by pushing it. So you can decide which panel you want on the right and which one you want on the left. I just finished mounting it, and it works. I'll go do the other side. So after attaching the base on both sides, I noticed there was a splay in the legs, and so I added a bolt down here to straighten things out. Did the same thing on the other side. Not bad. I'm pretty happy with it. So that's it for this month. I'm going to wrap things up over here. I hope the presentation was clear, but if you have any questions at all, just leave them in the comments. I'll answer them as best I can. So until next time, find your passion and share it.